Hi, welcome to T-Bad's Trucks and Stuff. I just pulled my Ranger here up into the driveway. It's getting close to winter, and this is one of my winter beater trucks. So I need to go through it. I did a bunch of stuff last year, but at the end of the winter, the clutch is wearing out on it. So that's the biggest job, is going to be pulling the transmission, doing the clutch. But we're going to go all around this thing, check her out, see how everything lasted from last year and what we need to do to it this year to keep it going as a good driving truck. So here she is. This is my Ford Ranger. Got some nice squishy tires. None went all the way flat, but I fixed it up last fall for the winter. I've had it for many years, but we went over it real good last fall. Did these heavy duty tie rod ends and upper control arms. I painted and repaired any rust chips that were on my front bumper. The rear has a few little chips coming through, but overall it's lasted quite well. I painted the whole underside of here. You can't get very well up there where the rust is coming through, so I'll have to get better oil spray protection up there. But it looks like a lot of it's stayed pretty good. This truck, I think I mostly sprayed it with fluid film. All the bottom of the floors, I sanded them down and painted them back up with epoxy primer. But it's got a few spots that are looking bad. Got a few bubbles in the rocker panel on this side and a little bit coming through there. These little cross members, they're a bad spot for rusting out, but they look to have lasted pretty well. All coated up with the oil spray and epoxy primer, and that's what I've been doing. The orange frame on this truck, it stands out pretty good. I like it. It's a nice color orange. But it's all painted with epoxy primer, and then the orange is a 2K urethane. And it doesn't look like it's got one single speck through it. The rear diff here, I swapped that in last year. And it's the one 410 gears limited slip from my level 1 FX4 Ranger. We also put some new shocks in the back here. I don't remember what kind these are, but they look like yellow Monroe shocks. They just got a little bit of rust where they chip up and on the edges. Not too bad though. It's got a shackle lift here in the back. It's got a body lift in there too, but it rides at a pretty good height, I think. A summer under the tree and she's pretty dirty. We'll have to give it a good cleaning. I'm not sure what's going on with my door here, but the handle don't work unless you kind of push and pull and jerk it around like that. Let's see what we got on the inside here. I cleaned it fairly good before putting it away. Think we got a little bit of mouse poop though. Not a lot, just a little. There was bounce sheets. There was mouse traps. I disabled them because the cat's been going looking around making sure we're clear. But not too bad. That'll be easy cleaning. I always like these white gauges in here. They look pretty nice. Let's pop the hood. I'll show you what we got under there. This is not the original motor from this Ranger. This Ranger was originally a 3-liter overhead valve engine, and I've swapped in the 4-liter overhead valve engine. The engine and the truck have about 5 years difference in them, but maybe only like 20,000 kilometer difference. You can see I had to do some wiring changes to get it to run properly. I had to build this whole little harness in red that goes back here, and it does some transmission stuff for the manual transmission we swapped in here. So since this is engine swapped and the computer system for this 4-liter motor here had the Ford patch system on it, the security system locked me out when I put it in there, and I couldn't get it to start until I got a custom tune and an SCT tuner to bypass the patch system, and she's ran great ever since. Very smooth running motor. It's a overhead valve roller cam engine, and it's got, I think, about 330,000 kilometers on it. Runs smooth as can be and doesn't burn like any oil at all. Nothing noticeable anyways. A little corrosion module. I think it works, but not when the battery dies. Oh, the front shock's looking a little rough. I like that heavy duty control arm I got though. The cover's rusted right off this one. But you try and bounce her, I think they're still working. It's a super nice riding Ranger, so I don't think I'm gonna fix those shocks till I'm bouncing or having trouble with them. But let's get in here and fire her up. I'll show you what some of the issues are here. It runs great, but it does this. It's got bad power or ground somewhere. Come on. There we go. See, it fires right up when the starter goes. Got somebody squealing. I think that's that little bearing in there saying, please change me. You're gonna open it. Please change me. Might have a little belt chirp too, but yeah, she's a smooth runner, this one. Nah, I think the noise is just that throwout bearing or whatever's inside there. I think it's a concentric slave cylinder, so I'm gonna probably have to replace the whole assembly. Now, besides that noise, my clutch is slipping if I step on her all the way in 5th gear. And I'm not gonna demonstrate that because I don't want to score up the flywheel. I'm hoping I can reuse it. But the issue I'm gonna have is this exhaust system. This is my custom, only half welded, I guess, exhaust with the, I had to do this because of the cats, but it was all welded in place on here, and there's just 2 little nubs off the end of the manifolds up there because the bolts are stuck in them. I've been spraying them down like this for quite a while now. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then a couple heat cycles, and we'll see. Hopefully we can get those out of there. We'll probably have to get the torch out too. Lots of penetrating fluid, heat cycles, letting it soak, and then a lot of heat, and I hope I can get them without breaking them, because those are no fun when you break those up. Look at that gooey fluid film stuff. It's doing its job, sealing up the outside of that seam nicely. Missing a plug in the floor though. Transmission cross member should come out without any issues. It was all out last year, but I just didn't have any money to do the clutch. It was just use what you got and get her in there. The manual swap did include a transfer case on my two-wheel drive truck. Maybe one day we'll put a differential up there in the front. But for now, it's just for decoration. I sprayed penetrating fluid around all the bell housing and these bolts. They have those like little holes where either the ends stick out or something so that they can get corroded and be hard to get out of there. Fancy little structural oil pan on the 4-liter here. Over there, that's the jack we're going to try and get this out with. It's just a regular jack with that add-on transmission thingy where the bowl goes. Here's an area of the frame that never got cleaned very good. And you can see that flaky corrosion. It was everywhere like that. But man, I can do some wire wheeling, Scotch Brightening with my grinder and clean that metal right on up. Get her painted and it lasts from what I can see. The brake pads and rotors, they were new last year. They got some surface rust on there, but they should clean up good. Okay, well, let's fire it up, warm it up a little bit, get a couple heat cycles through, get the penetrating fluid doing the most it can on those manifold bolts wherever they are in there. We'll get them heated up and get working on getting them out. While we're doing that, we'll address some other problems along the way of taking the transmission out there. There's little things wrong with it. The speedo doesn't work anymore. I think it used to run off a speed sensor in the transmission, and it doesn't have that anymore. Being a manual from the 2000, it ran off a speed sensor in the rear end. So I might try and do something about that. And then I think the other gauges all work. We'll have to check. Maybe I could put a little bigger of a tailpipe on here. It's just got that teeny weeny one. Put everything in front of the muffler. I guess it goes skinny, fat, it does all kinds of stuff. How's those V6 noises? Well, that smells nice burning off there. But that's how you know the heat's getting into it. Let's check and see what color the oil is. I know it's from last year sometime. It's actually quite gold. It's not very dark. The dipstick itself is a dark color, but the oil is not bad. Might as well air up these squishy tires while we're waiting for it to warm up there. These tires, they're General Grabber ATX 285/75/16s, load range E. They're a heavy duty tire for this little Ranger, so they've been lasting a really long time. Got tons of tread left, and man, do those things ride good. It's stopping smoking, so it must be warm. And we have no temperature gauge. That's the other one that don't work. No speedo, no temperature. But I think I remember when I hooked up my scanning tool, the temperature sensor for the computer is actually working, just not the one for the gauge. So we'll shut her down, and I guess squirt more penetrating fluid, and then more heat, and penetrating fluid, and heat, and penetrating fluid, and maybe some heat, and we'll see how those bolts come out. Let's get this wheel liner out of here. Get a little better look. Oh, more parts on that one. Now we can see it good. We can see this one good too, but this side has lots of stuff to watch out for, like the fuel line. This one, don't light the fuel line on fire. And yes, that's my custom adapting fuel line to run the 4-liter overhead valve engine in there. These engines got this funny little torque shock thingy over here on the side. I'm assuming that's so you can pop the clutch and do burnouts better. Although with that big tire, this Ranger does not like to do burnouts. My spray up here around the rad support looks to have worked pretty well. Those spots always rust out. The front seam here on the firewall, it's getting rusty. That's a bad one. That's not a nice spot to have to fix. Look at that. Got a rock up there by the spark plug boot. We'll get that out of there. Now my Ranger here, my bell housing bolts are super easy to get to. Because I have a body lift on here, I can do it through the wheel well if I want to. Let's try out this thing on there. Get her a little bit hotter. We got the oil filter right there and this rubber bushing, so gotta be careful. Squirt, squirt. Let's see, is it ready? Because I really don't want to break it. No, it's not ready. I think that's still flexing it too much. More heat. If I can help it, I'm not gonna break this bolt. Broken. No. Well, that one broke. Oh well, on to the next one. Well, with the extractor socket, we broke another one. So now the passenger side is at least disconnected. Probably have to pull the manifold to get the studs the broken piece out of them. All of them broke. Well, both sides all broke. At least the Y pipe's undone, so I can continue to pull the transmission. But when the transmission's out, we'll see. We'll start welding stuff to the studs until there's nothing left. And then the dreaded pull the manifold. Yikes. We got the Y pipe coming down. This is a handmade Y pipe. I fit it together in position up there. Where's this one welded? Oh, down there. So we'll do any touch-ups on that while it's out of here. Look at this big contraption on here. Here. Be a real jack for a few minutes. Yeah. Get in there. Okay, the Y pipe's out of there. Back to being a transmission jack. I'm just doing a test fit of how this jack will fit here. It straps around alright. This manual transmission's really round on the bottom. Doesn't have a pan like an automatic. So I think I took off this piece. I'm gonna make an adapter to bolt to this and go right to the transmission mount. When I remove the cross member, I'll bolt the transmission mount to this tray, strap it around, and that'll hold it nice and straight on there. And it'll counterweight it good because of having a transfer case dangling off the back of it. Now that the exhaust manifolds both have broken studs in them, let's get on to freeing up the last couple things, which will be the hydraulic system for the slave cylinder, the transmission mount, and the rear drive shaft. Ow! Ugh. Ow, the first one hit my hand, the second one broke my fingers, it feels like. And the third one, well, I'm gonna double up the wrench on that one and just push harder, I guess. Maybe it's a two-handed job. Oh, nope, it moved that time. Top one. Oh, why do you have to do that with a wrench? Ow. Okay, just take that off. Put it up over there. It'll stay. Universal joint still feels good. Onto the transmission cross member, yes. Oh, that's way nicer than the wrench. up there on a safety board. Oh, I got the transmission jack in here, chained around the top, and then the back, I made that bracket so it's bolted to the transmission mount. It barely fit around over the cross member points, but that should be okay because usually you're just going straight back and then down, so I'll be going back farther than that and then down, hopefully, when I'm coming out of there. You can see just in from the wheel well here, bell housing bolts are all really easy to get to right through here. And even that manifold, if we gotta take it off or drill those studs out, or we'll try and extract them first, but who knows what's gonna happen there. The shifter, there's a little low boy shifter in here. Since it's got a body lift, it doesn't quite stick out of the hole the right amount. I think there's only one screw holding that cover on. Got some mouse traps in here. There's a piece of poop right there. But this is probably the mouse entrance since that thing's not screwed on. But yeah, since the transmission's lower because of the body lift, the shifter's lower and everything's lower in here. You can just grab it by your fingertips. Got the starter off and it's just dangling there. All the bolts to the bell housing, they were nice and easy to get. I took the tire off when I was doing them. Tire's back on now so that nothing falls if I get shaking it around. But all the bell housing bolts are all undone. Our wiring's undone. Got our master cylinder here. I just pulled the rod out of it so the rest could stay inside. And the reservoir's down here all loose. So hopefully I can pull that out and leave it all connected still. Our little wiring harness here. There's only 2 plugs. Got that undone. So we're all disconnected. Got our safety wood removed. A ratchet strap up there to yank it backwards. It's going to one of the cross members on the frame. All the bolts out. And then with just some foot power wiggling side to side, should be able to, something like that, it should start coming apart. Oh, there you go. Now we'll adjust it, get it all lined up nicely, make sure that bolt's not snagging, and we'll be able to pull it back and get it the rest of the way out. The transmission's way in there, but I think I figured out a way to get it out of there. I can go higher if I have to, but I think I can just pull it back, tilt it up and down a little bit, and I should be able to get it out of there pretty easy. And there, it's out of there. Nice safe job. So I don't know what's next. Huh. One of the dowels must have stayed in the motor. I guess we'll just give it all a good inspection and then put this aside, clean it up for later, and we can get under here. Yep, there's the other dowel. And we'll be able to inspect all of whatever's going on in this clutch here. Well, can't tell very much, I don't think, until I take it apart, take it off there. But it's worn out. It was slipping in 5th gear. I didn't be hard on it afterwards. I just drove it home kind of thing and waited till now to change it. So hopefully it's not too bad in there. Okay, I'm on the last bolt here. I think I am anyway, so we'll get in here and see what this thing's looking like. I only had to untwist them maybe a 1/2 or a 3/4 thread, and they had no more tension left on them, which I think is not very much. It's not, there's usually more than that, pretty sure. What's holding us? Well, that's weird. Why didn't that just come off? I'll have to get something to pry it off, I guess. Little dowels must be stuck. Okay, can we pry this off here? Wow, that one's on there good. What is there? 3 of these little dowel spots, and they're all stuck. Better put a little bolt in or it's gonna pop right off and fall on my lap probably. There, that'll be a little safer. I'm getting a little bit. Okay, there, now it's loose. Let's get that bolt out and see what kind of surprises are in here. I bet it's been on there for a long, long time. Whew. Oh, we're to the metal rivets on the transmission side. The engine side still has material. We have little bits of discoloring. That's a tiny bit of surface rust or something. This thing was seized together at one time when I put it in here. So let's look at this side. This side's got lots of bad marks on it. Heat marks, scratch mark from running this over, and probably, I bet you some of that's from the rivets getting grinded down in that area. But we'll see what I can do about this and decide if I want to repair that. I might just Scotch-Brite wheel it and see what happens.